I worked for Sean Ryan on The Shield, and he always taught us that the showrunner's #1 goal, the first thing they have to do, the most important element, is the creative vision of the show. And that means being in the writer's room, breaking the stories, and writing the scripts.
I mean, that's when you're, really tunneling and charting and planning, is to figure out how you can weave a story together that's going to be compelling, that's going to be paced, and in which all these characters play a critical role.
Obviously, you want to be involved in the editing as well, because that is sort of like a final rewrite on this show, which has been wonderful having someone like Steve Pearlman. He's amazing. He's been able to be someone that I could heavily rely on to do a lot of the things outside of just, the writing and that part of the creative.
I kind of have my hand in almost every aspect of what goes into the show other than specifically the writing.
His knowledge of production is amazing. I knew nothing about how to do any of the visual effects stuff. Steve taught me everything and still handles the lion's share of that.
We're doing between 200 and 300 visual effects shots per episode. And usually the turnaround on that is about 10 days.
Once you get into series, it becomes a bit of a production line. You really have to keep the scripts moving and keep the scripts flowing.
Well, the process of the development of the show starts off with the script. And as we get that, sometimes we'll do preliminary discussions. And we'll start the illustrating and the SketchUp versions.
The actors obviously need a script in advance so that while they're shooting a current episode, they can be learning their lines for the next episode and understanding where the character's going.
I try to, contact Scott Rosenbaum, my producer, and say, and ask him questions so he can give me some hints on what's going to happen in the future episodes, but they never do it. We only know and we can only prepare for that particular episode.
The prepping crew needs to have a script early enough that they can build sets and that they can design costumes and they can begin to create what's needed for the director on the day of the shoot. They only have 7 days to do that, which is shocking, really.
Get down!
The concept of aliens among us is certainly something that has been explored many times in literature, in film, in television. I think it's a matter of how you take that idea, that concept, and update it and contemporize it and make it relevant for an audience today.
Question is, why are they here? We know, because we've seen the original show, that they have some malintent for us. So really, it's the most basic storytelling in the world is just like good versus evil.
The context with which this version of V lives that wasn't the case in the original version is we live in a post-9/11 world.
When you have an alien invasion story, it's a natural fit that you want to sort of, line up the idea of, terrorism as a huge sort of theme that would sort of permeate the entire show.
Shooting down that shuttle backfired. Tonight they will be introduced to the world, just as I planned it, as terrorists.
It's embedded in our DNA now. It's part of our psyche, and it's something that is always there. It's just under the surface, and you watch enough news or events happen in the world, and it brings it forward again.
I think that it does inform the way people watch the show and the way the characters go about their lives in this world of spaceships hovering over our cities, because those characters went through 9/11 the same way as you and I did.
I felt like Sleeper Cells of Visitors would be a really cool, interesting sort of twist on the theme and really sort of let the theme run naturally and organically throughout the show.
It's about the ways that anyone who's got their hands on the controls of power needs to throw those levers now. And that's got a very different, it's got a very different energy to it now than it used to.
I think there's a strong distrust of the inner workings of all government. And I think that's what V is really picking on.
I think that we are sort of bringing a mirror up to the way the world is right now.
The financial drain on our healthcare industry is immeasurable. Thousands of jobs are being lost. And as for any technology she may offer,
it could put technology companies out of business? You're saying that the bottom line is more important than helping people. I'm saying it's the same thing.
I think it's really fascinating that people compare Anna to Obama in the beginning of the series when the show first started airing, because I think it was a very tangible figure for them, this figurehead, this person coming down and saving us and solving all of our problems.
The reality is, and the guy who wrote the pilot, Scott Peters, he had the Bush administration in mind. It's one of those things where people are sometimes going to look into a TV show and see what they want to see. You know, for me, probably, I had less political ambitions in terms of what I'm infusing the writing, but more moral.
Joshua, you're asking me to betray my mother, to murder my own kind.
I've been quiet about my feelings about the beast for too long, Father. They're dangerous.
You have to kill me.
No, I won't. Come on.
I'm dead anyway, Erica.
The process of getting them tied together into stories was difficult because you didn't want to just rush them all to being part of the same team or have their lives intersect in a way that just felt convenient.
Like the old version, wanted to have an ensemble cast, wanted to have a lot of stories going on at the same time, wanted it to feel worldwide, wanted it to feel epic.
We certainly have our lead characters who we service, but top to bottom we have a fantastic cast, and so there's a lot of people that we want to make sure that we give their moments to.
You son of a bitch. The fifth column says hello.
I think our story is so sort of interwoven, even if characters aren't necessarily in scenes together. What they're doing, what they're trying to do, what they want and need is all sort of related.
The idea of Erica Evans, the lead character, being part of the FBI in anti-terrorism division, I think is very relevant and gave us a base to kind of form the series and to form her character.
If you look at it, all of the characters, in some ways, are sort of rising to the occasion.
This isn't just a cause for us. It's his way of life. It's my faith. Revenge for a family slaughtered. Her son. We all have a stake in this. Don't think you don't.
What we've tried to do is give all of them some sort of like nerve ending that could be pinched that would help push them into that role, and then let that be sort of the accelerant.
If there's any threat to our home or our way of life or our children or any of those sorts of things, that really strikes a chord in us, and that's exactly what the visitors are doing.
We are of peace, always.
At some point, it's going to be us versus them. There's going to be a battle. There's going to be a fight, and and it's like really, it's interesting because that's like your initial instinct is like you just want to see that fight, but you can't just have the fight start immediately, or you have to have the fight start but not have it explode into an all-out war right off the top.
Don't look at the cameras. Don't make eye contact with anyone.
Why not?
The less you give them, the more they want.
When we got into series, we started to see how Anna could do one little thing that would have this ripple effect that could affect all of our characters in very different ways.
She has the perfect soft touch, and she can play a victim perfectly, and she really maximizes and takes advantage of her attractiveness and quote-unquote vulnerability as a woman.
She's definitely poking at everybody's insecurities and vulnerabilities, especially with Erica using her son Tyler.
I can't conceive of that role if that was a male villain. It just carries with it different connotations. And in a way, the fact that you have these two women going head to head, that's sort of the spine on which the rest of the show is hung.
It's sort of two, very strong, intelligent women who are sort of, the protagonists and antagonists of the piece.
As a mother, I'm sure you can imagine how I feel right now.
As a mother, I know that if someone tried to hurt my son, there's nothing I wouldn't do to stop them.
Then I'm sure you'll do whatever you can to find who did this before they hurt someone else's child.
I will. You can count on it.
At the core of our show is a battle of two women, and they are each fighting to protect their children.
If you look at all the characters, Anna's protecting the V's. You have Erica protecting Tyler and metaphorically all of humanity. You have Jack, and he's protecting his children, let's just call them his parishioners, his flock. And then obviously Ryan, he's protecting his soon-to-be born child. He's protecting Val. And then the last person in this mix was Georgie, and Georgie was sort of an interesting guy because he was a guy who was trying to protect his family, but failed, and then trying to maybe in some ways protect other people's families because he couldn't protect his own.
We must not act rashly.
They must pay.
This is too soon. If we initiate this sequence now. Do you know what you've done?
As the series goes on, Anna becomes more human, and Erica, in a strange way, less. Becomes more militant, more aggressive in the protection of the human species, and Anna discovers emotion, and it makes her, we're thinking, a less effective V leader.
Because Erica has made this choice to kill her eggs, Anna now feels for the first time, ironically, a human emotion, but it's not love, and it's not empathy, it's purely vengeance.
There's something about humanity that is so breathtaking to them and so precious to them that they're trying to take it away from us. I mean, it's something worth protecting.
If you were the visitors, you could look at our planet and say, look what they've done to it. They're just going to destroy the planet, and they're going to destroy themselves. Maybe they're here just because they could use our planet and they think we're going to waste it.
The show is called V. You want to be with the V's. There's an archness to them, there's an evilness to them, and they can kind of get away with it. And you kind of want them you want to push them into that place because it's fun.
One of the things that was really important to us was to focus on these characters and very hard decisions that they were going to have to face.
Part of the fun of the show is how things make us no longer innately good, how money, how greed, how power can take a good person and turn them. And that's something that actually is a big sort of theme in the show.
Where it becomes interesting is the gray area. It's good people who do bad things or bad people who do good things.
Whether that's Lisa making her first move against her mother, which is a very big step. You know, whether it's Erica being confronted with this impossible dilemma when she faces Joshua down in the hallway. I mean, there's a number of what these moments are, and they have to have the weight of character and emotion behind them. And if they don't, and we've gotten there only through machinations of the plot, then we haven't earned it, and it's not going to play as well.
Let V no longer stand for visitor. Let V stand for victory.
I think that there's a lot to be proud of in V, and it's been a huge experience, and you know, we'll see how it does.
You feel like you're at the beginning of the birth of this mythology.
There's a bigger picture that you're honoring at every turn.
We walked in new material that was terrific and rich, and then you want to honor all that, but also keep moving forward and stretching.
I'm not going anywhere, Anna.
As of this evening, neither am I.
It's a challenging show. It's a lot of fun, and in the end, I think it all is about the show and the product that is going on the air, and I think it's something that we're all real proud of.
It's science fiction. There's a family drama. There's a cop element to it, with visual effects that most people never get to play with ever. There aren't shows like this out there, and so it's been an absolutely amazing experience.